What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I'm going to be doing a penetration test with my AK-47 pistol. I'm going to be using some full metal jacket, and I'm going to be shooting it at some lumber. So I have a bunch of 2x12s that I've cut to 1 foot lengths and screwed together. I want to see how many 2x12 Douglas fir boards the standard 123 or 124 grain full metal jacket 7.62x39 can penetrate through. And this is one of my most basic penetration tests that kind of gives me a good idea of what a particular cartridge, bullet, and load can do. A lot of people wonder why I use wood and not water or meat or something like that. Well, the purpose of this test is not necessarily to mimic living tissue, but just to compare one cartridge to another to see what the bullet does. Does it expand? Does it deform? Does it deflect? Does it maintain a straight line? And wood is good because it's pretty constant if you use the same type of wood. So I can basically do this test for a variety of cartridges, and I can see how the cartridges compare. You know, if let's say one cartridge penetrates through 20 boards and another one penetrates through 10, kind of just gives us a general idea of the differences between different cartridges, different loads. And lumber is something that in the real world you may be shooting at if you're in a firefight, a self-defense situation, or if you're in the woods. And believe it or not, wood does have some moisture to it as well. So even kiln-dried wood will still have moisture, and that will allow for bullets to expand, so you can check the expansion. So what you're looking at here is my Zastava M92. I'm going to be doing a full review of this AK pistol. So far, I absolutely love it. It does have a stamped receiver, but the metal looks to be pretty high quality, pretty thick metal. And I am going to be changing out this grip here. This is the original grip. I'm going to put a mag pull grip on it. I have an aim point H2 on here, and I have this Olight Balder Pro, which has the red laser or green laser and white light, and I have this red filter on it, so I'm a little bit more low vis if I'm using this for, let's say, home defense or something. I don't want to give away my location with a bright white light necessarily always. Silencer Co. Omega 300, absolutely love this suppressor. I do have to change out the piston though, because when I use the suppressor, there's a lot of blowback, a lot of gas pressure going back, and there's no adjustable gas block on this. So I'm getting a K&S adjustable piston. It's supposed to be coming in the next few days, so I can tune down the gas a little bit. And the handguard is an Ultimac top rail with a Midwest Industries bottom forend, and I have this Magpul steel loop for a 2-point sling. I have a Blue Force 2-point sling, and here I just have a pick rail if I want to use a bipod for mostly just range work, zeroing or whatever. So I'm going to shoot at these boards from about 10 yards away. Really curious to see how the classic AK 7.62x39 full metal jacket, such an iconic cartridge, such an iconic rifle. I remember growing up and playing GoldenEye on N64, and in that game they called it the KF7 Soviet. But man, how many movies have you guys seen these rifles in? You know, all the Rambo movies, all the 80s and 90s action movies. So I'm just really curious to see how it stacks up against some modern center fire rifles like 308 Winchester, 300 Win Mag, things like that. We know those rifles have solid penetration and ballistic performance, but how will the short case of the 7.62x39 compared to, let's say, the 308 compare. What do you guys think? Now, the 308 Winchester, I have done penetration tests with it. You can check out my 308 Winchester playlist for all those penetration tests, but I have done a lumber penetration test, and with the 308 M80 ball, that's the 147 grain full metal jacket, I can penetrate through like 10 or so boards. So we'll see what the AK can do, but the 308 has a lot more power, you know, probably double the muzzle energy of the 7.62x39, and I have chronographed these with my lab radar. All three of these out of the 10.5-inch barrel are getting around 2,050 feet per second. Okay, so about 300 feet per second slower than what they list on the box here. Okay, so roughly 2,050 feet per second out of the muzzle. So still pretty fast, 2,000 feet per second, 123 grain bullet. That's still pretty fast. So let's see what happens, guys. Take a guess in the comments. How many pieces of 2x10 Douglas fir framing lumber will this penetrate through? The 44 Magnum can penetrate through like 4 to 6 boards. 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum with bear loads usually penetrates between 8 to 10 boards. 308 Winchester full metal jacket around 10 boards as well. So what do you think the 7.62x39 AK pistol 10-inch barrel will do compared to them? So let's see what happens, guys. Just want to give you guys another look at this rifle. I just think it's so cool. Maybe a little antiquated, the ballistics, the 7.62x39, but for what it was made for, you know, short range use, under 200 yards, I think it's perfect for home defense, SHTF, even for bear defense. I think this would be great. You got the reliability of the AK. These will basically never jam on you. The only time I get jams is when I use my suppressor, and that's not every single round. That's maybe every like magazine, 1 jam per magazine. But I am going to tune the gas down. So, but highly recommend the Ultimac rail and the Midwest Industries forend if you're going to get one of these, so you can mount your aim point or whatever optic you want to mount. But look at that thing. All right, guys, I want to go over the results of the test. I have some good results and bad results as well. So the good results are that the 7.62x39 out of just a 10.5-inch barrel penetrated through 7 of these Douglas fir 2x12 boards. Absolutely insane, out penetrating a plus P 44 Magnum and penetrating as much as many 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum bear loads and touching on the 308 Winchester full metal jacket. Absolutely insane. I was very surprised. So very impressive results with the 7.62x39, proving that it is a viable cartridge, even though it's 2025 and there's all kinds of sexy new cartridges out there, the PRCs, the Blackouts, you know, all that stuff, 6.5 Creedmoor, and then here you have the good old 7.62x39. The Russians must have known what they were doing when they designed that cartridge. So very impressive performance. Now the bad results are that I didn't bring enough wood. I thought 7 boards would be enough to capture the bullets, but basically all of the bullets penetrated through all 7 boards. Okay, so that's the bad news. So I don't know exactly how many boards these can penetrate through, so I have to redo this test, and I'm planning to do a soft points test just like this. So when I go and do the soft points test, I'll redo this one, so be on the lookout for that, and I'll let you guys know somehow in the title that that's going to be like part 2 of Full Metal Jackets, okay? But at least 7 boards, okay? That is really impressive, guys. So let me just go through all these boards with you. That's about 10 or 11 inches of wood, okay? Very, very impressive. All this wood, guys. So lots of penetration from the 7.62x39 out of just a 10.5-inch barrel. That makes it a very viable option for bear defense, especially with, you know, a 30-round magazine, and, you know, you can even have one of those couplers. So, you know, to do like a fast mag, like I can't really go into details here on YouTube, but if you play Call of Duty, you know what I mean. You have a charging bear, you got a 30-round magazine of 7.62x39, and each one of those can penetrate through all of this wood. You're going to do some damage to that bear. Plus you have the reliability of the AK, which has loose tolerances and a piston system that's been proven to be basically jam proof unless you run it suppressed, and then in that case you just tune the gas down a little. So let me show you my hits. So 2 hits over here with the Winchester, 3 hits here with the Norma, and then 3 hits here with the PMC. Basically all of them penetrated. So here's the first board. And what's really impressive too is they all maintained a straight line. They had straight line penetration, and there were a lot of knots in this particular board. You can see some knots here. You know, I've been doing these board tests for, I don't know, 5 years now. I've done dozens and dozens of these tests, and sometimes you go to the store and some of these boards are just full of knots, and you always wonder how that's going to affect your test, you know. But absolutely zero effect. You know, they just went straight through, which is very impressive for a pointed bullet, okay? That's the kind of performance you want if you're protecting yourself from dangerous game. You want something that penetrates straight through. You don't want the bullet to drift off course, okay, or veer off course. So here's all the bullets in the second board. You can see not much of an exit hole. You know, it's just a full metal jacket, so just a clean, tiny hole. Okay, but there's the second board. Exit holes on the second board here. Entrance holes on the third board. Nothing really too interesting going on here. Just little pencil-sized holes. Basically the size of like a pencil. Okay. Here's the fourth board, entrance holes. Got our Winchesters, Normas, our PMCs, still going strong. No signs of tumbling or any kind of deformation or anything like that. Here's the exit holes in the fourth board. Okay, still maintaining a straight line. Okay, here's the 2 Winchesters, the 3 Normas. Here's the PMCs in the fifth board. Here's the back of the fifth board. Now it looks like 2 of the PMCs, I shot them real close together, and I think they hit each other in the woods, so that might have affected the trajectory in the wood or the penetration. If they slammed into each other in the board, you know, it'll deflect that one bullet. And then here's the 6th board. You can see the entrance holes here, the 3 Normas, the 2 Winchesters, the PMCs here, still going strong. And you can see one of the PMCs is starting to tumble, and that's just because they were so close to each other. I think that affected that, but absolutely insane penetration from a 10.5-inch barrel. You can see one of them tumbling here. This is the back of the 6th board. Here's one of the PMCs, okay, and then here's our Normas, our Winchesters here, but still basically maintaining a straight line, okay. And then here's our 7th board. Here's one of our Winchesters, in there. It actually went through the knot there. Normas and PMC here, okay. You can see one of the PMCs was tumbling already here, okay. Started to tumble in like the 6th board, 5th board, and then the rest of them were still going straight. And then here's the exit hole of all. And then here's the exit holes in the 7th board. Check it out. Look how they blew out the back there through the knot. So basically all of them exiting. Here's the PMC, the Normas here, another PMC there. I think one of the Winchesters went through. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this test when I do the soft points version of this test. So stay tuned for that. Check out my AK playlist and my 7.62x39 playlist. I'll leave a link in the top right corner. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. I just want to show you something cool. So this is the 1st board, and then this is the 7th board. And you can basically see all the bullets penetrated in a straight line. You can see the 2 Winchesters, the 3 Normas here. You can see 1 Winchester there. Looks like the 3 Normas here, but you can basically see the 2 Normas here and then the 2 Normas there. Look at that. They're basically in the same location. Then you got one of the PMCs here, one of the PMCs there. Then you got one of them tumbling there. You know, you got one PMC down here and then one over here. Okay, so here's one of the Winchesters here, one of the Winchesters there. So very impressive results, guys. I'm super impressed.